Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. This episode is presented by Uber Eats. When football makes you hungry, order Uber Eats. I do every weekend. All right, time to look at this weekend's tastiest matchup in this week's Sunday Night Foodball, brought to you by Uber Eats, a company I use all the time. All right, there's a lot to talk about. Is Brian Kelly going to get fired at LSU? Who's guaranteed to draft a quarterback in the first round, and the Saints have to be one of them, along with the Raiders, Jets, and Cleveland? Let's start with the Ravens 30, Bears 16. So the bet of the weekend, all the sharps, was Baltimore with Lamar Jackson over Caleb and the Bears on the road. And then he doesn't play. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to let it see it play out. Roquan Smith is back. They're healthier. And, let's be honest, Tyler Huntley's been around. I thought it was really smart game plan. I thought Huntley outplayed Caleb Williams, although he's not nearly as spectacular. They didn't ask him to do as much. And there's become a disturbing trend with the Bears, John Middlekauff joining me, former NFL scout, is that this year in the first quarter, the Bears plus 22-point differential. Caleb, 71% completion percentage. He's mostly on script. Quarters 2 through 4, 58% completion percentage for Caleb Williams. Minus 39-point differential. When the game gets off script, the coach and Caleb early, they take leads. Remember last year they couldn't score in the first quarter. But I'm watching this game, and my take is the backup for Baltimore didn't make mistakes, took what was there, very safe game plan. Yeah, I'll say this again. Caleb, in my opinion, is never going to be an consistently accurate thrower of the football in this league. Am I too harsh?
No. Well, and if he's not going to work with Ben Johnson. I mean, the thing that hit me today, and let's face it, the elephant in the room now for several weeks, he has not played well. Their team has. The running back has played well, and the defense has played well. The quarterback has not. Ben Johnson became a star in the league with Jared Goff, who excelled with a couple things. Timing and touch. Getting rid of the ball and hitting guys so they could make moves after. How many times a day with Caleb, guys in the flat, even on completions, they have to stop and catch a ball. You can't function. You saw Bo Nix. Obviously, the Cowboys' defense is atrocious. You're going to hit or miss, and he's missing a lot of deep balls. But if you hit the basic stuff in the flat, some basic out routes, any offense can function, right? The NFL is not high school football. It's not these huge explosive plays are pretty overrated. Caleb hit one today, scrambling around and threw it over the side to
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. I mean, that's just an individual play, as spectacular of a play as you're going to see. Bad Sunday, but still, I mean, it was remarkable. That's not the NFL. The NFL is like 2nd and 8. Can you just complete that 6-yarder so you're 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 8? And Caleb simply cannot. Timing and touch, Colin, terrible. There's no rhythm to his game. To me, it's like the struggle between, it's like watching a pitcher who has no changeup or off speed, but his fastball's all over the map.
11 penalties. He and Roma Dunze have a real relationship. That is true. But I thought today is when you take away the takeaways, the Bears have had a formula. We take the ball away, we steal field position, and we run the football. And then Caleb, on those first couple series when he's scripted, we take a lead, and we kind of play downhill. Today they played a much better coach. By the way, John Harbaugh is 15-3 off a bye. I thought Baltimore's play calling today, John, it was Andy Reid-like. They had Chicago guessing constantly. And I just watched it and I thought to myself, when they don't get the turnovers, they're just not even operationally good enough, or even the underneath stuff. It's just not good enough. They have to run the ball and take the ball away to win this league.
Well, one big story on the internet, right, was this Lamar Jackson. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? And a big difference, and I saw like Florio trying to parallel to the NBA situation. The difference is in the NFL, the reason Lamar couldn't play because he's not healthy. And in the NBA, guys they're trying to tank and actively lose games. whether a guy plays or doesn't play in the NFL, the team you're playing, even if they're as terrible as Tennessee, is still going to really try, right? In Baltimore, let's face it, like their season's kind of on the line because of how they started poorly.
Yeah.
So you were going to get a good spirited effort, and their backup quarterback has played before. Now, I like Jake Browning, anyone that watched Tyler Huntley play at Utah, stunned that he's still around, but it shows you guys can mature and get better late, get in the right
Yep.
situation, more of a running offense. He had some big plays
Played with a
legs.
lead.
For
Yep.
sure. It was really impressive. But to me, the story with the Bears, I watched Ben Johnson calling plays. I think he's good. Their defense, obviously, the takeaways speak for themselves this year. I think Caleb isn't remotely a good player. He's a talented physically he's got a lot of gifts, but in terms of playing the quarterback position, I think he's borderline not even average. That's a problem. And this is now year 2. I know you drafted him year 1. I know this is the first year with the coach, but you don't just get. We've been talking about this. You don't get forever. I would say 2026. This keeps going like this. Got major question marks surrounding it for sure.
Yeah. Quarters 2, 3, and 4. And first quarter leads are important, but quarters 2, 3, and 4, he completes 58% of his throws. And I watch Bo Nix. Now it's the Cowboys, but Bo Nix underneath 18 yards and in is a stud. I mean, he's got a strong arm. And by the way, they routed the Cowboys. We'll get to that in a second. But I mean, it would have been worse. But guys were dropping balls. So I don't know. It's just people in Chicago.
What about the Caleb pocket? He just takes off a lot of the time. I can't imagine the head coach, who again just played with a guy who can't run as fast as me and you, and they were winning 15 games a year. He's not looking for his quarterback when the first read isn't there to start running sideline to sideline. And it feels like he's kind of a throwback to like 2015 Russell Wilson. But Russell made a lot of plays when he scrambled around. Caleb simply does not. So you're not getting the in-structure stuff, which is, I'm sure, Ben Johnson's like, that's his bread and butter. I mean, right? That's the way he's built his career, over the last several years. And then all the scramble around stuff, which I would imagine if we got an offensive line coach or an offensive coordinator, they would say half those he does not need to be doing it. But if you are going to do it, you better hit some big plays, and he's not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my copious notes here, and Tyler Huntley, great late fourth quarter drive. At that point, 186 yards passing, 55 yards rushing, Derrick Henry touchdown. Again, you're talking about an elite coach, a desperate team at home. It's the reason the Sharps were all on this. But it was really interesting because at half it was 10-6 Baltimore, and I'm like, God, they're the better team. This is not a mirage. I mean, at half, Huntley was 12 of 13. I mean, it was just like throw and catch, pass and catch. So I think there are real issues here. I've said this before. Watch Ben Johnson's body language, John. It's not good. He's frustrated. He's discouraged by it. So, and I think there's the difference between, like when Sean Payton gets upset with Bo Nix, it's because he knows at practice or he's seen what he can do. Like when Ben Johnson's upset with Caleb, we're now in week 7, week 8. It's sort of like he's resigned to this is what it is. He's not screaming and yelling. It's not like Jared Goff missing stuff that a coach would be like, bro, you make that throw 9 out of 10 times. I just think there's stuff Caleb is never going to be terribly accurate at.
Well, I also think there's a huge part of football, no different than a lot of different industries, is Bo Nix is Sean Payton's guy. Ben Johnson inherited this situation. Now, you can tell me he chose this situation, and that is true. He didn't draft him. And you don't know if he, obviously Detroit wasn't anywhere near the top of the draft, but like, what were his rankings in that draft? Would that have been the guy he chose? Because based on the way I watch him call plays, that's not really his style of player.
That's right.
So I get back to, I don't care what you do. I've been in situations where I've had the support of leadership and been in situations where you don't. It doesn't work when you don't. And that's if things are going well. We see this in football and in pro sports all the time. Good players, good executives, new ownership, new management, things change. When things don't go well and you don't have the support because he didn't pick you, you're not his guy, it's over. I never thought this was going to work. You win a couple games. And listen, their next 2 games, looking at their schedule, I got the Bengals, who can be beat, obviously, and the Giants. So this is where you got to be very careful about. They could end up 9-8. That doesn't mean, because I think he'd go, if we had better quarterback play, we would have won 11 or 12. Hell, we might have won the division. I think that's the way he's looking at it.
I'd be interested to see the Bengals line. I think the worst part for the Bears today isn't the loss, it's a blueprint. And the blueprint is don't let them run the football. Stack the box, do not let them run the football. And if you can avoid turnovers, this offense it's a BB gun. I mean, if you do not let them run with DeAndre Swift and just say beat us down the field, even the throw to DJ Moore, John, DJ Moore was the better part of that.
It was an incredible catch. Tapped it to himself.
Okay, so the Bears are -1.5 at the Bengals. So that tells you that the league's like is close. And I mean, I'm watching Flacco go up and down the field.
They were up. They were up 14 points with 10 minutes to go in that game. I mean, they melted down. They are much more functional now with Joe throwing the ball, and their offense actually can work. But to me, the game plan is simply, which is crazy because you go, well, John, look at his stats. He threw 25 of 38 for 285 yards. I watch him and I go, I don't see it. I don't see from the hype for the number one overall pick. And to me, he's the problem, which is a problem.
That was this week's Sunday Night Football, brought to you by Uber Eats. When football makes you hungry, get game day deals on Uber Eats. I do every week. The official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. I just did. Houston Texans at home. This was one of my Blazing Five picks. Blazing Five had a good week for the third week in a row. Texans 26, San Francisco 15. It did not feel that close. I thought the story of the game was C.J. Stroud had time to throw. I mean, his first 19 dropbacks, he was pressured 3 times. And so my take on C.J. Stroud has always been, if you give him an extra beat, he throws an absolutely beautiful football. He throws a beautiful football. And today, I mean, it should have been 27-0 at one point, and it was 16-7 at half, Houston. I just don't know what San Francisco do with the injuries. There's no Bosa. There's no Warner. They had to move off Hufanga and Greenlaw. They're beat up on the offensive end. Mac Jones made some great throws today. I think it's come to a point with San Francisco is they have to figure out their medical and health issues. Nobody's available. I mean, today, Houston's got a really well-coached defense. That felt like a little bit of an unfair fight in the octagon. Like there's just San Francisco couldn't protect, line play, and for the record, it's not like Houston's offensive line is formidable. It's been garbage for 2 years. My take is C.J. Stroud was comfortable. He is too good of a distributor if he's comfortable, and it didn't feel like a fair fight for most of it.
Yeah, to me, it happened again. I mean, they lost multiple guys that they rolled into this game with. They put up a graphic on the television that since Kyle Shanahan became the Niners head coach in 2017, they've had 2,300 missed games from starting players.
Jesus.
That leads the league. Now, I don't have a context who's number 2, but if you told me they had 500 more missed games over that period, then you can't function what they're doing. They just lose multiple players every game. And the domino effect. I mean, today, it's a bad matchup. They have legit pass rushers, and beside an old Trent Williams, the 49ers offensive line isn't good. And that's on Kyle. They have openly talked about they don't value offensive linemen. They value these skill guys. Well, it's like all your skill guys are on injured reserve. So the guys that you choose over these offensive linemen, Will Anderson looked like Lawrence Taylor today. He had a couple plays where, one thing the Texans, they got C.J. Stroud at 2. They traded pick 12, I think it was pick 33, and a following year's number 1 to move up to get Will Anderson. They nailed the player, but I think we watch them sometimes, you're like, God, they're missing some depth. Well, a big reason is because they made that big trade, so they lost a high second-round pick and another first-round pick. All of a sudden, you're losing a couple players. Could be a right guard and a right tackle. Could be a star running back. It could be a star tight end. But they got the right individual. And listen, you're going to play the 49ers defensive. I mean, can't even name some of the guys they're rolling out. And even the guys they have, clubs on their hand, knees wrapped, and CJ Stroud looked good. And they physically dominated,
Yeah,
the 49ers. Now, it was also a pretty desperate spot for Houston. You're
very.
2-4. You just got your ass kicked on Monday Night Football, which I thought was a pretty unfair to have a team have to fly 4 hours and have a doubleheader kickoff. They kicked off at 7 o'clock in Seattle. So by the time Houston got back, they probably don't even board the plane till midnight or 1 o'clock. They,
Yeah,
they lose a
brutal.
couple hours, probably get home when the sun's out. So it's on Tuesday. And I give D'Amico credit. Listen, I'm a believer in D'Amico Ryans. It's hard to win when your offensive line stinks. That's what's remarkable about what Kyle Shanahan has done. Like Trent's been good over the years, but most of the other guys are pretty replaceable, and they've won a lot of games. But when they get the right matchup, a couple years ago, they lost. They got destroyed by Cleveland. If you have a good defensive line, and Trent's a little banged up, it can make the 49ers look completely overwhelmed, and that's what happened
And
today.
I mean, CJ Stroud goes 30 of 39. I mean, come on. That is as he had one. And again, I think he throws a beautiful football. Christian McCaffrey, 4 catches, 8 carries. They never had the ball. I mean, San Francisco literally never had the ball. Yeah, I picked, I think it was the Rams to win the division, Seattle to be the wild card team, and San Francisco third. And I got a lot of pushback. And I said, it's not the team, it's not the coach. They can't stay healthy, which when you're young, 3 to 4 years ago, that was okay because young guys recover faster. But then you add the Hufanga and Greenlaw leave because you can't afford them. And now you lose Bosa. Okay, that's a different defense. And I think we both admit that Saleh is a great football coach. I mean, he's a really great coach. He may not be a head coach. I still think he deserves a head coaching job. I really do. I mean, look at the Jets since he left last year and this year. But my takeaway is there's just limitations on what you can do in this league, and I don't have an answer for it, but it's brutal.
I think some of these physical coaches too, you know, the 49ers, their practices are pretty intense relative to what you can do, in this
Yeah.
modern day CBA. And I think that takes, these guys. I think there's just something overall to the league about the guys overtrained. They don't play as much football. There's no such thing as double days, the mandatory days off. And then you just play in these games. Guys have been faster than ever. They train so well, but they're not used to actually playing football. And I just feel like we see a lot more shattered ankles, injuries
Yep.
that I think guys had a better feel for tackling and in space because they were doing it constantly in practice. And now you don't really do any of that, but you're playing these games at warp speed. You basically go from like 20% to 110%, and we're seeing it all over the league. It's not even just the Niners. Obviously, the Niners are the worst
Yeah.
example of it.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Great partners on Hard Rock Bet. You don't have to wait for week 9 to kick off all the action, and you want to get in on that action. It's the golden time of the year with basketball. Homers, hat tricks, always something to bet on. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet. $5, that's it. If it hits, you not only get your winnings, but $150 in extra bonus bets from Hard Rock Bet. If you think baseball is slow, even when the title's on the line, not when you bet. The average first inning lasts just 17 minutes, and first inning bets are one of the most popular ones in the entire Hard Rock Bet app. So you can bet if there's a run in the first inning or a no-run first inning. Fast, fun, easy. You can parlay first inning bets for a bigger, faster possible payout. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today. Make your first deposit. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're seeing teams now that feel like they're quitting. Teams like the Saints here. If you don't have the right quarterback, like Miami crushing Atlanta, well, Penix isn't playing, or the Saints getting crushed. I mean, listen, there's 4 teams that are drafting a quarterback: Jets, Cleveland, Saints, Vegas. And then there's 3 others: Pittsburgh, Rams, Minnesota, that probably should. But this was a lopsided weekend. I want to go to Philadelphia 38, New York Giants 20, the Scadaboo injury that happens about twice a year where you watch it and you're sick to your stomach. But the bigger story of this game is A.J. Brown, due to a hamstring, didn't play, and Jalen Hurts was unbelievable. And the Philadelphia offense was unbelievable. And Devontae Smith had 6 catches. And the run game had 277 yards. And they averaged 7.5 yards a carry against a good defensive front. it is pretty obvious that A.J. Brown at the trade deadline, I mean, addition by subtraction sounds weird. I know fans can struggle with that, John. Like, you're like, how can you lose him and be better? But you get into these locker rooms, and when you feel like you remember when Dak took over the Cowboys, and that sense you had to get it to Dez. And the truth is, Dak was like, okay, I'm spending all this time worrying about one guy. And Dak's always been a guy that likes to spread the ball around. Like, he likes to spray it around the infield. Philadelphia today, 38 points. Offense hasn't looked better, and A.J. Brown didn't play. To me, if that's not, I think Philadelphia was really interested on what they would look like today without him. Do you think they're going to move him at the deadline?
Well, plus, I mean, Washington plays tomorrow, but they're a 12-point dog at Arrowhead. Their season's in shambles. The Cowboys' defense, I mean, best case scenario, they're an 8-1 team. And obviously the Giants' season is over. So if you're the Eagles, you go, our division's over. We're set. So now it's just about trying to get seeding, get that number 1 seed, and how do we match up Rams, Seattle, Detroit. So to me, that's the conversation around A.J. Brown. Because one thing, Howie and the Eagles are pretty good. They got a lot going on at all times, and they're kind of unfazed by it. Howie, like, one of Howie's best friends is Brian Cashman. Like, they're used to – he's comfortable in that environment. I think some – like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they don't like it. They don't want that. I think the Harbaugh brothers aren't – Howie kind of thrives off that, so I think a lot of people think get rid of A.J. Not that they're against it. I saw some quotes that Jeffrey Lurie had at the owners' meetings this week, like, yeah, we'll trade him if it's good for us, but we're not just – they're not afraid to deal with it, him posting on Instagram unfazed by it. And listen, I'll give Sirianni credit. They have kind of molded him in the, like, you got to be able to handle this to coach in Philly, and he kind of can't. But
yeah,
I do think if they go, listen, are we better off? Does it free Jalen up a little bit? Can we also transition to the next several years, because some of these core guys aren't going away? Can we get 2-2s from New England and give him back to Vrabel? Can we get a bidding war going with some AFC teams for his services? To me, New England makes a lot of sense. And, would you take a 2 and a 3 for him right now and just be like, hey, let's get rid of some money, let's pivot, make him happy. We don't have to see this team. So I definitely think it's on the table. But if you're New England, because I think a lot of people are going to be Vrabel, they could use a little more offensive firepower. Like, are you, your schedule's pretty easy. Who is really giving up a lot for AJ? And that's where it gets to, like, Howie's not just going to give him away for like a 3rd-round pick. But, like, are people bidding against each other for the guy who, let's face it, extremely, can be a little tough. So to me, that's where Vrabel makes sense because he knows him. But I could see some of these other organizations like, I don't really want to, like the Bills. They've kind of done that with Diggs, and it's like, I don't think that's really their thing.
Well, and also New England's wide receivers, and a lot of it's because of Drake Maye, they all look capable. They all make catches. They're
and
fine.
Don't you need those picks moving forward with your young quarterback? Like, this year making the playoffs, win 11 games would be pretty good.
I could see New England saying, we're really young. We don't need more draft picks. Like, we love our core. We got a lot of young guys, especially on offense. Our left tackle, our running back, our quarterback. Hunter Henry's like a rare veteran guy. We could use a veteran presence. I've heard GMs have told me before, sometimes if you make a big deal, you don't want just 5 draft picks. You'd like a player because you don't want to, you don't want, like, certain coaches, Belichick on defense and McVay on offense, they don't like to. Terrence Ferguson finally last week in week 7 got looks as they're one of their top draft picks at tight end. Like, they just don't want to play guys early. So, I look at Philadelphia. I think you make a great point. Dallas can't defend. Giants can't score. It's a bad year for Washington, health and beyond. It's Philadelphia. And so at this point, I've said this, though, John, the only thing that gets or punctures momentum and a loaded roster is drama. It is the only thing. And I'm watching them today, and I'm like, oh, shit. They almost have 300 yards rushing. Some of this is tied to A.J. Brown's absence. Like, they're just free to do what they want to do.
Well, and to me, it felt like first couple plays of the game, Saquon takes it 65, 70 yards.
Yeah.
That looked exactly like the carbon copy last week. Now, I understand that they need some outside pass rush help. Do you think it's random that they re-signed Brandon Graham, a veteran presence who can come in that locker room, calm everyone down a little bit? Maybe you bring him back, and it does open you up. Hey, we got a little more. We don't need AJ, chirping.
Right.
If he's truly not happy, because you've been talking about this for a while, he's clearly not. Those two are not friends anymore. And
Right.
it's like it's not one of those situations. It's like, hey, my linebacker, my quarterback hate each other. Whatever. They barely see each other. They're never. This is kind of an important relationship. They're in the huddle every time together. He's, I mean, one of the best players, not on your team, but in the league. So like his words do have some juice, even if the younger players are like, hey, listen, I don't want to get involved in this. It can become an issue where the coaching staff and Howie are unfazed by it, and even Jalen. I think his personality, he's really good at just kind of being, blinders on, moving forward. But
Yep.
I think AJ's been trying to like throw gasoline on this fire, and everyone else is like calm
Well,
down. So it's he. I don't know if it's going to go away. So I would say that trading him, I've never thought they would. I would give it a decent opportunity. Again, assuming someone's willing to pay the market rate, because they're not just going to give him away to get him out of there.
well, I was told this summer by an NFL exec that Jalen wasn't beloved in the locker room because he's not really one of the guys. He's super mature. And I think A.J. Brown wanted to stir things maybe a little. Jalen doesn't bite on it. That's just not
No.
who he is. And so, and I've said this before is that, Brady did a great job in New England to like introduce himself to the 21-year-olds. But a lot of these older quarterbacks, it's like, guys, I listen to the Rolling Stones. I mean, you
Yeah.
listen to bands I've never heard of. And I think Jalen Hurts is uniquely mature. I mean, when Dak came in, Dez wasn't mature enough for Dak. Like Dak's like, "Hey, I can't babysit you, bro. I'm trying to figure this league out. I just don't have time. I mean, Dak's really mature for his age, and I think Jalen Hurts is. And when it happens, it's when you're mature at 23 or 24 years old, and most young men aren't. I mean, if you look at crime statistics, binge drinking statistics, who gets into trouble with sports gambling? It's young men. They're not terribly mature. So it's almost like a burden or a punishment when you're as mature as Jalen Hurts. You're attracted to older people. Your friends are in their mid 30s or 40s because most young men aren't mature, especially pro athletes who have been sort of, protected or coddled. And so I think with Jalen Hurts, he's never going to be the best. He's never going to be everybody's best buddy. He's not going to relate to a lot of these young. The NFL's never been younger. So I just don't think this team needs AJ Brown. And I think I'm not sure. Let's talk New England. New England 32, Cleveland 13, Myles Garrett 5 sacks, yada yada yada. The question is with Drake Maye, his last 7 games, he's completing 77% of his throws.
Yeah.
John, I watched his running today. He had 4 rushes, 13 yards per rush. I watched his throwing today. Vrabel's such a good coach. They don't ask him to throw 40 times. It's like 18 to 24. I'm watching Drake Maye today, John. You're going to think I'm out of my mind saying this. I'm not so sure he's not a top 8 quarterback in the league now. Jesus, he's good. Chad Power's been sharp and funny, unexpectedly moving, kind of feels like a football Ted Lasso. So Glenn Powell has shined as Russ Holiday through 5 episodes. Quite the journey for quarterback Russ Holiday, also known as Chad Powers. Led the Catfish to a 5-0 start during the roller coaster season. Bonded with teammates, clashed with his coach, and slept with the head coach's wife. He wants to erase Russ Holiday for good, but can he continue to hide the secret? How will the series end? Don't miss out. Season finale, Chad Powers this Tuesday on Hulu.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's number 3 right now for the betting MVP. Now, I don't think he's going to win the MVP, but he has. I think we talked about it last year with him and Caleb Williams. It was really hard to judge both of them because all their games were 20, 25, 18 to nothing at halftime. So they're just getting routed. And then their stats would come in the second half when the game just doesn't matter. It's like scoring 20 points when you're down 50 in the fourth quarter. It's like, I don't know what to make of this. And the one thing that's happened this year is you've seen him play in real games and be awesome. And that's, I'd say him and Caleb kind of, I put them both coming into the season at the same spot.
Right.
They both got real coordinators, right? Ben Johnson and Josh McDaniels, and one guy is thriving. And I don't even think most people would say New England has a top 20 group of skill guys. I mean, Henderson had his first kind of breakout game. A lot of it's been May scrambling around.
Yes.
Diggs has only played a handful of games. Kayshon Boutte, the kid from LSU, is making a bunch. Every time you look up, he's making a play.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry, like you said, this is not exactly, George Kittle, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase running around out there for him. So, yeah, I mean, we like them coming in because the coach, the upgraded coach is an all-timer. And their schedule was pretty conducive, but
Yeah.
they're playing these easy teams. They're beating the shit out of them. I took the Browns today because I was like, good defense. I could just see an ugly game. They're starting to feel a little bit like it's not a perfect parallel because I think this team had more talent. But remember that first year Jim Harbaugh got to the Niners and they just kept winning. They just kept winning. You're like, oh, this is the game that'll probably be weird. All of a sudden you looked up, they're hosting the NFC Championship game. I don't think it's crazy we look up, and this isn't like a 9-8 team. This is like a 13-4 team.
Yeah, John, I watched them today. I watched a lot of this game and because it was a weird slate, and I'm like, they don't really have a hole. I mean, Drake Maye's youth is a hole. I mean, again, Campbell, rookie, got worked by Myles Garrett. Well, God, all pro left tackles get worked by Myles Garrett. And my take was, watching them, I'm like, Kansas City doesn't really have a hole. They don't run the ball very effectively, but the defense, the coaching, the skill level, the speed. Kansas City could use another pass rusher, and they don't run the ball well. But they're so good at the other stuff. I look at New England, I'm like, they run it, they throw it. Their receivers are all capable. There were 7 different guys made catches. Drake Maye moves. Vrabel's a great coach. I mean, their secondary today, they had a couple. Did you see the one-handed interception by their corner? Jesus, it was the play of the day. It was insane. Like New England's one of those teams. The Colts are like this, but the Colts have real stars like Jonathan Taylor and Warren. Those are real stars. New England doesn't have that star power. But when you watch the Colts play, they're just highly efficient. They pick up first downs. They rush the passer. And you look up and it's like the Colts put pressure on you on every down, both sides of the ball. New England's just super efficient, well coached, not necessarily great yet on third down. Like they're just not quite powerful enough. They lack star power. If you put Hunter Henry's good, if you put Warren with Hunter Henry at tight end, that would change the dynamic. That's why, to me, A.J. Brown's interesting. You put in A.J., let's say you give up a third round pick, and you're like, oh, okay, what are our needs next year? They don't have a big hole. So the hole is they don't have a dominant perimeter player. To me, it's like it gets really interesting with New England.
Well, because, if you think about it, if you're these guys, you start going, well, we got the capability to win 12 or 13 games. So it's like we're going to have to beat Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, potentially we'll see how we're recording this before the Steelers, but Aaron Rodgers, who's still got a little something left, right? Who knows? Lamar Jackson, they could come storming back if he ever gets back. I think they play Miami this week on Thursday Night Football. So all of a sudden, Baltimore can get back. That's who we got to beat. And to me, that'll be the one question. I know he beat Josh Allen earlier this year, but it's like all the hype. This guy's as good as these. We've seen this before. So the more you can equip him with, I think they definitely got to be in the mix. And to me, AJ makes the most sense because of Vrabel. But I also think isn't Vrabel the perfect coach for kind of keeping. This is why I keep betting against him, and I keep regretting it because it's like Vrabel's actually perfect for when you're winning because he doesn't feel himself. He kind of keeps the whole unit humble.
The only 2 teams definitively to me that are better than New England, Kansas City and the Colts. There's no question. The way to catch up is big plays over the top. That's really the way to catch up. Now, because if you play Indianapolis, they're going to hit you for big plays. Taylor, Warren, Pittman, there's no question. Indianapolis is not only efficient, they're going to hit you on big plays. And Kansas City, with Andy Reid in the playoff game, are going to hit you for big plays. Now, if Lamar comes back, that dynamic, that's a big play offense. The only thing I think New England misses is that cheap 76-yard touchdown that you'd get in a playoff game because his physical presence. There's just so many things to A.J. Brown I like. But, I'm watching them, and it is.
I think their defense is playing well as like a unit, but I would say the other thing that they lack is, the Chiefs have Chris Jones, who at any given moment can get you a couple sacks in the second half.
Karlaftis.
Yeah, the Bills have some big time, guys up front. Baltimore used to. These guys are injured, but when the Chargers, the Broncos, I mean, these guys got some high-end, big-time names. Now, that guy, you can't really trade. There's not like Max Crosby probably not getting dealt. So, if I was New England, I would rather have one of those guys than a wide receiver. But I would just say, hey, we'll just try to play together as a unit because their secondary, Spillane had a nice pick. I guess Dylan Gabriel threw it right to him today.
Yeah.
But, Christian Gonzalez is really, they do have some like individual talent, especially in the secondary linebacker. But you just go like, who's there outside? Just, I mean, no one has Myles Garrett. But I also think watching the Cleveland, they were given the opportunity. The guy said, trade me. Your team sucked. You were restarting. No one was going to get back. He's telling you, I don't want to be anymore. Trade me. He's over 30 years old, but he's so good. He's still at a bunch of value. You could have traded him for multiple ones, probably multiple twos, and done the Travis Hunter trade and had this war chest of draft picks and had all this room to kind of reset. Instead, you still stink and have this guy on your team who's getting 5 sacks where you're losing 30-10. It's completely pointless to have this all-time great pass rusher on a team that's awful with no offense. Especially he gave you the out this offseason. And it's what bad franchises do. They could have traded him. They would have been in the same record, probably would have been the exact same.
Okay, Denver Broncos, Blazing 5 went 4-1 for the third week in a row. I took Denver -3. Dallas has never had much success. You have to go back to the Troy Aikman era when Dallas is
95.
Denver. Yeah, they just kicked the living you-know-what out of them. Denver 44, Dallas 24. This game to me felt very much, John, like it was over in the second quarter. I mean, Denver averaged 8.7 yards a play. I've been saying this now, John, for 2 months. Mims, Franklin, Cortland Sutton, and now this Bryant kid, Matt Bryant, who they got out of Illinois. They have 4, and they're all same body type. They run, they're long, they have a catching radius. All 4 of those guys. The kid out of Illinois today, did you see that catch in the corner of the end zone? Great play. Bo Nix was, he had a really bad early pick. You can just see Sean Payton here. We could talk about Dallas's defense all day. I mean, the holes in this defense today, it was like a 7-on-7 drill. I mean, Jesus, there were guys wide open in the end zone. But I did feel like watching Bo Nix today, I see what Sean Payton does. Better arm than you think. Really, really athletic. And today, when he threw that ball to Bryant and there was a penalty flag, Nix, it kind of had an Aaron Rodgers feel. Nix is like, I got a play to burn here. And what did Aaron Rodgers do his entire career when there's a flag on the defense? Goes way downfield. He takes a big shot. Bo Nix throws an absolute seed to get that rookie from Illinois his first touchdown. I was impressed with Denver today. Again, I didn't think it was a fair. I mean, this thing was over really mid-second quarter. And I think if you watch Dallas's roster against Denver's roster today, it looked like a complete mismatch to me. Hey, it's Colin. Last Major League Baseball postseason, you might have noticed a new logo on the batting helmets. That red ostrich and the word Strauss. You see it behind me? They made history as the first brand ever on a Major League Baseball helmet. Check them out. Strauss has been family-owned and run since 1948, and they've built one of the most trusted names in workwear. The pants are designed like tools you can wear, made with materials up to 5 times stronger than standard cotton. Pockets that keep everything where you need it. And comfort that holds up all day long. Their boots, amazing. Built tough, built to last. And built to actually look good while they last. Strauss isn't just workwear. It's gear engineered to perform for you. From grit to glory. Gear up now at Strauss.com. 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 You'll see it all baseball postseason.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas is a good team to go up against to get your offense right. That's where it felt like when he threw that early pick. You're like, that's not a good sign, not against this team. And then immediately, the gates came open. I think one thing Denver can do, and you saw them do it today when R.J. Harvey had the big run, I think their running game, I mean, those two guys, J.K. Dobbins, a really good player. Yeah, it's the easiest way to set it, because they're going to play in these big games. I mean, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to have as good a chance as any because their defense is awesome. They have a kicker, and their return game, like they have a lot of positives, even besides when their passing game can be out of whack. Mims had an incredible kind of broken tackle, reverse field. I mean, they got explosive players and a lot. Take a little pressure off the young quarterback at times. I would hammer people. Like Jim Harbaugh would die to have this team because they would lead the league in rushing, or Kyle Shanahan. We would lead the league. But, listen, you are who you are. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, like they like to pass. I mean, your philosophy as a coach is your philosophy as a coach. It's definitely not going to change for Sean Payton at 60 years old. But this is a bad example because Dallas is so bad with their secondary. But I do think as I get into some of these games, I would rely much more on my run game. He obviously likes R.J. Harvey. They drafted him pretty high. I think today was his first touchdown. But you see that explosive speed. Now, there was no one in Dallas out there, but it's like, just get this guy in space, run some screens to him. I'm not trying to act like I know more football than Sean Payton, but I think sometimes it's like he's trying to prove with Bo Nix. Like, I think you could kind of almost ease him in sometimes. And it's like, even the day early in the game, they tried to hit some big plays down the field, and he missed one in the end zone. It's like they're really trying to hit these deep bombs. It's like, I don't think this is necessary to play like this.
Well,
but you see when it's on, like if he's throwing well, they could beat anyone in the league on any given week for sure.
Yeah, and blow people out. John, to your point, there was a point in this game where they were crushing Dallas, and Dallas had a significant time of possession advantage. Like Denver I think what Sean is trying to create, John, this is my take, what he's trying to create. He wants a big play offense because his take is he can do death by 1,000 cuts because he's such a great play caller or play designer. His take is, if I have to score quickly, I want Bo to be able to work very quickly and throw the ball. It's almost like what he's doing is he's trying to put Bo in situations. I think he has confidence in Bo to do all the underneath stuff. I don't think he yet quite trusts Bo down the field. Today felt like, and this was the second time I've watched them this year, that Sean is making a point of, Bo, I want you to get uncomfortable. I want you to throw it down the field. That's what it feels like to me, like that Sean knew early in this game, we have a personnel advantage. We're at home. Dallas' defense is awful. We're going to score in this game. We're going to score the way I want us to score. We can score two different ways. I want us to be aggressive. It just felt like the game plan today was exploit them, be aggressive, and throw over the top.
Yeah, I mean, he has no excuse to not be a very high efficient player because they got, like you said, I mean, Troy Franklin's really good. Sutton's a monster. The two running backs can catch. I mean, Ingram's really talented. I did look last week because they had the miraculous comeback, so you kind of forget about how ugly it was for 3 quarters. If you go back and look, Bo Nix, those 3 years at Auburn, again, chaotic plays, was very inaccurate, was in the 50s. But then he went to Oregon and was like 70 and then like 78%. But remember, a lot of the conversation was there was a lot of short stuff, and you remove the short stuff. I do wonder if he's just not the most natural, accurate passer. Like that was Drew. It's not his thing in terms of deeper routes. And you saw it today. Again, if a guy's wide open, he can hit plays, especially on the move. He's actually a really good thrower on the run to his right. Like I feel very confident when they roll him out. But I just think they kind of got to find that sweet spot. But there's no disputing. I mean, guy for guy, they're as good as any team in the AFC. Like they got to be thinking like we can win the AFC. We should have beat the Colts, who are one of the best teams. We had them beat. We screwed up at the end. The Chiefs, I mean, hell, they almost beat them last year. Remember when they missed that field goal? So they got to feel pretty good about being. The other thing is home field for them, because when you factor in not just its intense place to play, but the elevation is a really, really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I noticed today? I didn't think it was very. If Lamar Jackson would have played, maybe it's better, maybe it's not. Actually, I think Tyler Huntley made the game more interesting because you kind of kept waiting for him to make a mistake, and he never did. But watching the games today, you do get to like a week 7 or 8, John, and teams realize they're bad. Like the Titans, it wasn't much of an effort. Like they just got the S kicked out of them.
They're terrible.
And they're absolutely awful. And the Saints are awful. And Las Vegas is awful. And Cleveland has a good spirit and a good coach. They're awful. Those 4 teams are taking quarterbacks. I've watched every quarterback, by the way, every single college quarterback. And I like the kid at South Carolina. And I think he's totally raw. I watched them against Alabama this weekend. he needs to sit for a year with a McVay or sit for a year with somebody. Obviously in Vegas, Saints, Cleveland, Jets, they need a starter. Um, you know, I can see Aaron Rodgers coming back for a year in Pittsburgh going, we're going to go get that kid at South Carolina, Norris. I think he's a fascinating prospect. The kid is thick. He's strong. He's all over the map. But it's funny. I've watched all these quarterbacks. Mendoza's pretty good, and Dante Moore is talented. There's about 8 guys, John. The kid at South Carolina is the only one, and I think he would need to sit for a year, that I go, that looks special. I watched Ty Simpson this weekend. And by the way, he sat for 2 years. He's been the backup. His ball doesn't have a lot of juice. Like a lot of his deep balls are underthrown. A lot of his underneath stuff, it's hit and miss. He looks like a coachable, great kid who will play in the NFL. He can be accurate if he gets the right coach, but I don't watch him and go, wow, there's a ton of juice.
He looks like a better version of who was the Georgia quarterback that McVay drafted that kind of had some off the field issues that disappeared. Now he's back. He's like the third string.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, he kind of feels like a version. He's on a really good team with a really good coaching staff. He's better. I think he's a better college player. I do not see first round physical abilities. Lenore Sellers, his team's pretty terrible. So it's, physically gifted. You're almost judging him a little bit off last year when I think they went 9-3. And they look like they're headed for 5 or 6 wins, and they just that was one of the better efforts.
He's got juice.
Tools. Yeah, he has the tools. I would say the other guy that has the juice. Did you watch A&M? I mean, absolutely curb stomp LSU. The problem with Marcel Reed, who is like a mixture of Jaden Daniels meets Lamar Jackson. I Googled it. Now, listen, you can fudge weight a little bit. Lamar, when he went to the combine, was 215 pounds.
That kid looks 170.
Yeah, he's 181, but he told Herbstreit during the game he usually loses 7 or 8. So during games, he's playing at 175, which, again, you see him. And even if Lamar was playing at, let's say, 205, you're talking 25-pound difference. And this is a run-around player. So Marcel Reed is really impressive. But at 175, 180, that's a little concerning. Even Jaden Daniels was 200. You're talking 20 pounds. This is Myles Garrett hitting you, Max Crosby hitting you, Chris Jones landing on you. I don't care. Vita Vea throwing you to the ground. I understand you can make these guys miss and stuff, but eventually you're going to get it. Hufanga blindsiding you. There is no dispute. To me, he might be the best quarterback. Now he's on the best team too.
I can't draft a 180-pound quarterback.
No. And Nussmeier, looks like a guy you would draft in the 3rd round. So I think most of these quarterbacks, including Sellers, this is not a great year to feel a lot of like Joe Burrows, Jaden Daniels, Andrew Luck. It doesn't mean you can't find good starters, but it's a crapshoot. I think there's a lot of other positions that are pretty solidified. I don't think this is a great year to be like, we need to solve our issues. Look at last year, Colin. You're dealing with human beings. I would have taken Cam Ward over Jackson Dart too. It was not that crazy. Yeah. And who knows? You could argue that Cam's in like a Jared Goff, that his rookie year with the Rams. Maybe we look back and go that. But just based on this year, it's not even close. If you just polled the 32 GMs, I don't know if Jackson be 32 out of 0 over Cam Ward, but he would be in the high 20s. And that might include the Tennessee brass. So that's how fast things change. And this wasn't pick 1 and 2. This was pick 1 and what Dart go, like 25, 24? So you just don't know.
This is why Dallas is in a great spot, and so are the Rams. The Rams can take one of these guys in the 1st round and not play him for 2 years because they have 2 firsts. That's what you'll want with Lenore Sellers is we're just going to draft the kid. You're going to learn like Alex Smith with Mahomes. You're just going to learn how to be a professional quarterback. And McVay will clean up the accuracy. But, I watch all these guys, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm watching who the hell knows what's going on with Minnesota. I think Aaron, if he has success, may play one more year because I think he's really enjoying.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's too good. Aaron's still really solid. But it's just interesting. You watch all these guys. Speaking of college, reportedly Brian Kelly has a $54 million buyout. For the record, I was told this weekend by somebody in college coaching that these universities, after a couple of years, have insurance policies. So if they do have to fire a coach insurance comes in, like a James Franklin, and can cover a big part of that nut. So LSU has a $54 million buyout on Brian Kelly, who's 64 years old. He's a really good coach. I think he took it for the money. I don't think his heart was in it. I don't think I had somebody tell me a year ago who knows Brian, he didn't want to recruit in the South. He's not here for the grind. He's just, listen, when you get into your 60s, I'm lucky I don't feel this way. Maybe I will. I love going to work. I love doing this. But some guys get to their 60s, and if they've been in really, really intense careers, and they go to their wife and go, listen, it's an $80 million contract. Even if I get fired, we can buy that second beach place. We got a place in the Cape. We can buy one in West Palm Beach. And the kids are like, go for it, Dad. And I kind of feel like with Brian Kelly, it was a go for it, Dad move. He wasn't a natural fit. He was sort of an older Midwestern guy who's really intense, can be combative. He had the fake, and I like Brian Kelly, but he had kind of the fake Southern twang. People said it was like Hillary Clinton, like his dialect, his voice changed as he went below the Mason-Dixon line. It's like, I just feel like it just never felt right to me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it ended last night. I mean, I thought A&M kind of took LSU's soul as a program in the third quarter, and that's a program that anyone around LSU has not viewed anywhere close to as an equal for decades. And the other thing is Brian Kelly took over a program where the last three coaches won national championships.
Yeah.
And that includes Ed Ogeron and Les Miles, who I would say in a vacuum, you would say, who's a better coach, right?
Right.
Brian Kelly or those guys. I think most people in football would say, I would take Brian Kelly to run my program. But down there, you would not. And listen, obviously Ed had his faults, started feeling himself, and had some other stuff going on, but took a lot of passion in the region, obviously enjoyed recruiting. He got lapped. I thought when Lane beat him back-to-back years, I said, I don't think it's going to fly well. Ole Miss is now the better program. Then Vanderbilt kicks his ass because that's what they did 2 weeks ago. And then last night, I thought it officially, like I just don't see how you could just keep going at this. This is not year 2. This is year 4. And to me, you know who's really, forever it was like Saban put a lot of people on the unemployment line because like Florida, Georgia, they held themselves to that standard. Now I think some of these programs are looking at Lane. It's like, well, he's at Ole Miss, locked to win 9-10 games with his eyes closed. And now this year, after he beats Oklahoma, he's going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I give Lane a lot of credit. And I think there's some people he clearly has cleaned up his life, right?
Yep.
He changed his life. You see it in his face, the booze. I mean, it's evident. His personality feels like what he has done. LSU would not even have talked to him when they had the opening and they hired Brian Kelly. Oregon
I would hire Lane. I'd hire Lane Kiffin at LSU tomorrow.
Oregon wouldn't interview him. Now, I think LSU goes, well, listen, I mean, I have a lot of respect for Ole Miss, the program, what he's done. If he gets the opportunity, I think he's going to go to Florida. But maybe LSU goes, we're a way better program than Florida. They fired 4 guys since Urban Meyer. That program is a joke. We win national championships here with anybody. And Lane's no dummy. He's been in the conference long enough, especially at Alabama and Ole Miss, had a front row seat for LSU. You could argue that job with the recruiting aspect, especially if they're going to fund, give you the money. Ole Miss is giving them the money. It's got to be a top 5 job in America potentially. So if he's willing to go to Florida, why wouldn't he be going to LSU? So if he's willing to move, if I'm LSU, I make this move. Because the other thing is you just can't go on. It becomes like apathetic. People just quit on Brian Kelly. The other thing is, Colin, when you're a CEO, head coach, there were some videos. Did you see some of them last night of him screaming at his coaches? Once you start screaming at your offensive coordinator, why are you doing that on third down? Your special teams goes, like, Brian, you are the boss. You could tell them run a different play when you're in the headset. So I just think that it's all out of whack right now. And it to me, it unofficially ended last night.
Sports fans love a comeback, so the underdog that kind of defies the odds. So that's the story of Green River Whiskey. In 1918, their distillery burned to the ground, 40,000 barrels of bourbon gone. Most would have quit, and they rebuilt from the ground up on the original site in Owensboro, Kentucky, and today they're producing some of the great bourbons and rye whiskeys in the game. Kentucky straight bourbon, a wheated, foolproof rye, It's a lineup built on resilience. So if you love a good comeback in sports or in your glass, Green River's got you covered. Head on over to greenriverwhiskey.com to learn more. Try some for yourself. And always, please drink responsibly. All right, Kansas City Chiefs, Hard Rock bet, 11.5-point favorite over Washington. I've been taking favorites on Monday Night Football, and I took 4 favorites this weekend. If we learned anything from Sunday, the bad teams now know they're bad. I generally don't love big spreads, but I think Kansas City is about a touchdown better than anybody in the National Football League. Maybe Philadelphia is their roster keeps them closer. I would take Kansas City to win it comfortably. Marcus Mariota against this defense feels like multiple turnovers. John?
Yeah, I want to throw a curveball here and go against you, but I can't with a straight face, Colin. We're going to ride the Chiefs, and I think Washington, their great season from 2024, looks like it's coming to a screeching halt here in 2025.